Tornadoes. They twist. They turn. They kill.
Go, 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 go!
These are the stories from people who work in extreme weather.
We just lost a big window.
It was just like a bomb went off.
And nobody is coming to save you.
And the storms they'll never forget.
Wham! Crack! Bang! Bang! Bang!
Holy we're going to die.
Plus, the how and why behind the world's worst weather.
Mother Nature is one mother.
They can come out of nowhere. They can outrun the world's fastest bullet train. And they tear up everything in their path. Tornadoes, some of the deadliest weather Mother Nature can dish out.
The path of a tornado is quite unpredictable. It tends to want to go in one general direction. However, it can deviate from that path. It's just the nature of the beast.
When most people are running away from tornadoes, Jeff and Kathy Potroski are racing toward them. Together, they've chased more than 1,000 tornadoes, filming the wildest weather imaginable.
I mean, we've seen it all. But this event was Mother Nature at its worst.
That's the weather event I will never forget.
May 22nd, 2011. A hot, humid day. The perfect symptoms for wild weather. Jeff and Kathy load their van with state-of-the-art weather-chasing gear. The plan? Track and film a storm they believe is gathering in nearby Kansas.
So I'm looking at radar data, satellite data, and Kathy's doing that as well. We looked at the computer models. There's another wave coming out in the plains. We have a draw line, so you got hot, dry air against warm, moist air, and those two air masses go like that and causes the storms to erupt. All the ingredients are coming together.
Oklahoma's Storm Prediction Center confirms Jeff's forecast. There's an increasing risk of tornadoes in southeast Kansas.
We were getting some rain showers, you know, lightning, thunder, that kind of thing, but things weren't looking quite right.
Jeff can tell from the direction and speed of the winds that a tornado was unlikely to take shape in Kansas. He and Kathy make the most fateful decision of their lives.
That's when we decided to drop south.
Toward Joplin, Missouri, and into the eye of the storm.
The conditions were much better for tornadoes closer to Joplin, and as we drove southeast, the storms looked better.
A tornado was formed with two important ingredients. Heat and humidity is the fuel, and wind shear is the engine that drives these storms. The winds are rapidly changing within and around the tornado.
We got out of the truck, and I looked at the sky, and the storm was rotating like a barber pole, and everything was accelerating like 10 times normal speed. It's a certain look that I've only seen one other time. The last time I saw that, we had an F5.
Tornadoes are rated on a scale from EF0 to EF5, with EF5 being the most destructive.
And so I got back in the truck. And I turned to Kathy. I said, something really bad's gonna start happening.
Ominous clouds grow quickly, switching direction rapidly. Jeff knows it isn't a matter of if a tornado will hit Joplin, but when. Jeff and Kathy continue to chase the storm barreling down on Joplin. It's now developed into an EF5 tornado with wind speeds far faster than their car. Shortly after 5 p.m., forecasters issue a tornado warning. "28 outdoor sirens begin to wail in Joplin. A city of more than 50,000 people in the heart of Tornado Alley, a stretch in the American Midwest where tornadoes are a way of life.
You need to get into that shelter immediately when you hear those sirens sound.
Joplin braces for a hammer blow. But suddenly, the savage winds switch direction, disrupting the storm and reducing the danger to Joplin.
The first storm came out of southeast Kansas. Here's Joplin, and the first storm went to the north of Joplin. It missed Joplin. We had a lot of wind and hail. That storm created a boundary, kind of like a cold front, pushing cooler air from the north, came down into the city of Joplin and stopped.
The worst is over. Or so they thought. A new spinning core spirals up at the southern tip of the storm.
And now all of a sudden it became a conveyor belt of extreme wind shear for that storm to tap into. That was the final ingredient coming together that created this tremendous wind shear. That storm hit that boundary and went crazy.
The initial storm veers north of Joplin, missing the town completely. But in its wake forms a second, more powerful tornado. A deadly sting in the tail.
We get to downtown Joplin. We notice that a new storm is forming back to our southwest of Joplin. And as it comes toward Joplin, it's starting to rotate. All my alarms on my software are going off, such as wind shear. I can see the winds are like pegging the needle at like 150 miles an hour. So I know something horrible is starting to happen.
The instinct that grips Jeff's gut is correct. The city of Joplin thinks the worst is over, but it's actually yet to come. May 22nd, 2011. Veteran storm chasers Jeff and Kathy Potroski are following a massive Category 5 tornado as it hurtles toward Joplin, Missouri, a heavily populated city deep in the heart of Tornado Alley. The city needs those sirens now more than ever. Jeff and Kathy race west. They arrive downtown and are immediately aware that something is wrong.
The sirens weren't sounding in the city.
When the earlier storm missed Joplin, local authorities, believing they dodged the speeding bullet, shut down the warning sirens.
And as I drove west, we encountered a police officer on the west side of Joplin.
Let's go, let's go, let's go!
I pulled up beside him, and I told him very quickly that a tornado was coming down. I said, you have to get the sirens going again. It's coming into the city. He picks up the radio, calls dispatch, tells them to sound the siren. The sirens start going off again for the second time.
But it was too late.
It's leveling the south side of Joplin in front of us.
The sky was the blackest I have ever seen. That told me that it was very serious, that there was going to be something just catastrophic getting ready to happen for these residents of Joplin.
By the time the second siren sounds, the tornado has already begun to pound Joplin. Jeff and Kathy try to keep ahead of the twister, but it overtakes them. They're caught in the belly of the beast.
I see this black mass in front of us. I see, Kathy, it's an F5, it's leveling the city.
A tornado can do so much damage so quickly for three reasons, essentially. You have very strong winds. Secondly, it can be fairly wide, as most destructive tornadoes are, so it does more damage. It's a wider path of damage. And because it's a violent tornado, it can just basically churn and destroy everything in its path.
The snarling twister sucks up wreckage and rockets it 10,000 feet into the sky over Joplin.
It created this mile and a half wall of flying debris at well over 200 miles an hour. There's this deafening roar. Me and Kathy are screaming at each other to hear each other because it's so loud.
The Joplin tornado was absolutely deafening.
Jeff and Kathy try to remain at a safe distance from the tornado, but the debris field is so large, it quickly engulfs their vehicle. There's no place to hide.
We had lightning bolts inside the EF5. It lit up the tornado from the surface up to about 3,000 feet.
We were actually in the tornado at that point. Your visual that you could see ahead of you was disappearing. So it was getting really dangerous.
It was scary. And it was an awe moment. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh. At one point, a piece of rock exploded the driver's side window.
It's the debris. The debris will kill you.
The glass blew in, cut my arm. There's glass over the dashboard, and it's raining inside of us.
If they stay here, they're sitting ducks. So Kathy makes a life and death decision.
I told him to back up. I said, back up, back up. I wanted him to take me seriously. We stopped for just a brief moment, but it was enough time to allow the tornado to do its trajectory where it changed course and it went directly in front of us.
For 38 harrowing minutes, the tornado terrorizes Joplin, unleashing hell across 22 miles. For Jeff and Kathy, every second was gut-wrenching.
We knew we had to abort the chase. I was already caught with glass, the window was out. At that point, we was going into search and rescue mode. I knew people needed help. I took a deep breath. I knew that I had to yell out, who needs help, top of my lungs. And when I did, there were screams from every direction. And I didn't know where to walk first. And I just walked to the closest screaming sound I heard, which was right in front of me. It was a horrific scene. Next door, there were more people crying for help, just going from house to house, taking people out of the rubble. It went on for hours.
The Joplin tornado claimed 158 lives and injured more than 1,100 people. It was the costliest tornado in U.S. history.
Nothing's affected me more than the Joplin EF5. If you think about the 2,400 blocks that were leveled and 1,700 people injured and 100 some odd people died in a matter of minutes from one of the worst disasters in U.S. history, and to be there to film it, but also help the people of the city of Joplin, that is the most important thing to me. I'll never forget about the Joplin EF5.
The entire Joplin tornado chasing experience defined us. I know Jeff's a hero. He had the forethought to think when he saw that policeman to tell him to get the sirens going. And I've had many people tell me that that saved their life.
That was the day that weather changed my life.
The one thing meteorologists can predict about tornadoes
We gotta let it go, we gotta let it go.
is that they're unpredictable. In Joplin, Missouri, a deadly tornado suddenly sprang to life in the wake of another storm, cutting through the town before many residents could take cover. But even when a tornado follows its expected path, getting out of its way can be a matter of life or death. June 2009, Nebraska.
75% of tornadoes that occur in Nebraska occur between May and July. These months are the deadliest for tornadoes because that's when the fuel is the most intense. It's hot, it's humid, and that's what thunderstorm is like.
For those that make a living tracking these tornadoes, one wrong turn can mean the difference between life and death.
Big, big, big tornado.
I've been through thunderstorms. I've been through blizzards. I've been through 17 hurricanes. I've almost lost track of the type and number of weather events I've been through.
But only once has Mark been truly afraid while chasing a storm.
This was the first one I got really up close and personal with. I had to get out of the way of this tornado before it caught me. June 17th, 2009 started off like any other storm chase day. My buddies and I were checking the computer models, checking the radar. And what we saw was the potential for some tornado production up in Nebraska. And so we took off after the storms.
But on the way to their tornado target zone, a sudden change in weather takes Mark by surprise.
I was taking a look at my radar on the internet in the car, and two storms had popped up just to my west. So now I had a decision to make. Do I continue on to my original target zone where the parameters look great for tornadoes? Or do I stop and go after these two storms, which also had good parameters and could potentially produce tornadoes? So I pulled the car over to the side of the road. I jumped out of the car, and I got a good look at the bottom of these storms. The one that was closest to me had a shape to it. It had a real circular shape, so I could tell that it was really beginning to spin. So this was now a supercell. This storm had the potential to produce a tornado, and I just had to be in the right position to document it.
Just 1 in 1,000 thunderstorms spins into a supercell, a violent storm with a rising vortex of rotating air known as a mesocyclone. 1 in 5 supercells spawns a tornado, and nature's deadliest twisters spiral out of these savage storms.
My storm chaser buddies and I are 2 different cars. I'd had a bit of a frustrating time with my car because it kept overheating, so I had to be a little slower.
No, 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 no.
Mark tries to coax his car back on the road. His fellow storm chasers unaware of his predicament.
As we're chasing these storms, the guys got ahead of me, way ahead of me, and I could barely even get them on the radio.
You go on ahead, I'll catch up with you, all right?
Well, the storm decided it was going to accelerate. So it's going faster, and I'm just barely keeping up ahead of it. I'm looking, directly into what we call the mesocyclone, so the center of where the spin of the storm was.
As the storm grows before his eyes, a roadblock forces Mark to drive south, directly into the path of the storm.
I've got 2 options. Either I try to go south and I try to get away from the storm before it overtakes me, or I go east and try to get ahead of the storm and get a bit more of a cushion. The only problem is that all of my east road options are dirt, and I do not want to be driving fast on one of those dirt roads. If you hit any area along that dirt road that's gotten wet, now you're into mud. Now you have to go even slower, or you lose control and you're into the ditch, and now you're in serious trouble. And so I had the sort of choice of 2 really bad options. Go south and likely get hit by that incredibly dangerous part of the storm that might have a tornado in it, or go east along the dirt road and take the chance that I'm not gonna run into mud and that I can go fast enough on this dirt road to keep ahead of the storm. The decision I had to make was, bad or bad. So I decided, you know what, I've gotta go east, I gotta get away from the storm, so I had a chance.
But Mark's gamble doesn't pay off. Heavy rains have turned his escape route into mud.
I lasted about 4.5 seconds before my car just went into the ditch, and that was it. I'm done. I don't know where my friends are. I'm stuck on some road in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know what I was gonna do.
At any second, the supercell could spin into a killer tornado.
If it moves in an unexpected direction, you're in serious trouble.
Mark tries to escape from the muck, but it's no use. He's trapped.
And ahead, I saw a barn.
As the storm continues to accelerate, Mark races towards the farmhouse and help.
The farmer and his wife greet me, and the guy says, I got my tractor, and I've got some chains. I'll pull you out. He hooks the car up, and that tractor just goes vroom, and just pulls the car out as if there was no weight to the car at all.
But getting stuck in the mud was nothing compared to what Mark would get stuck in next.
I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get stuck in the core of this storm. And inside the core is the potential for hail the size of baseballs. I'm hearing wham, crack, bang, bang, bang as this gigantic hail is hitting the car.
Storm chaser Mark Robinson is trapped in the core of a massive supercell thunderstorm as hail the size of baseballs pound his car. Finally, the crushing hailstorm blows over.
I give my friends a call. Turns out my two chaser buddies are in the town next to me.
Mark thinks his storm chase day is over, but in Tornado Alley, weather can change in a heartbeat.
So I hook up with the guys. We're in the parking lot, sort of the far end, and I look down at the radar, and we watch this storm pop up right in our target zone, and it's the best looking storm that we've seen. I thought, I've got a shot, I've got a chance to salvage this day. And suddenly, I see this weird little shape appear under the storm. I grab my buddy and I say, "Is that what I think it is?" And he looks over, sees it, and goes, "Whoa!" What we're seeing is a tornado being born at the other end of the parking lot. At this point, we're almost directly under the most dangerous part of the storm. This is the first time I've been that close to a tornado. And this is also the first time I've ever been in the path of a tornado.
In a split second, the chaser becomes the chased.
Now.
Back into the car I go. Down that road I tear.
They take off with the tornado snapping at their heels. Mark quickly checks his GPS and can barely believe his eyes. If he's going to escape the tornado, he needs to get off this road, but there's nowhere to turn.
From a storm chaser's perspective, this is completely the worst case scenario because now I'm in the danger area.
Mark is now playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse with the racing tornado.
Looking in the rearview mirror, and I can see this tornado beginning to pull trees and bushes out of the ground, probably about half a mile at this point behind me. I'm watching this thing and realizing that it is a massive tornado. This thing had to be quarter mile, half mile wide.
The tornado surges forward and heads straight for Mark.
This thing is coming directly at me. For the whole day, all I'd wanted to do is see a tornado. And now that I had a tornado, the last thing I wanted to see was the tornado. This thing was relentless. It was quite literally chasing me down the road, and I could not get away from it.
With his car in danger of overheating, Mark drives as fast as he can, but can barely stay ahead of the speeding tornado.
All I can think of is, can I get away from this, or am I going to not come home to see my little ones?
At last, he's able to get far enough ahead to escape the trajectory of the rampaging tornado.
And I just watched it in my rearview mirror cross over the road right where I was.
Luckily, the tornado categorized as an EF5 skips past the nearby town. Miraculously, no one is injured. But for Mark, this tornado encounter was too close for comfort.
I've usually got a pretty good idea of what these tornadoes are going to do, but once in a while, Mother Nature is going to throw you a curveball. I've seen over 50 tornadoes in my life, but this is one I'll never forget.
Tornadoes remain deadly and often unpredictable, despite the efforts of scientists to understand the nature of the beast. The Joplin tornado took the city by surprise with its deadly second wind. The tornado was relentless as it surged toward fleeing chasers. Sometimes tornadoes hide in plain sight. They can hit before you even see them coming. May 31st, 2013. A massive tornado touches down in El Reno, Oklahoma, 30 miles west of Oklahoma City. It's a monster. Huge. Fast. And unpredictable.
80% of the time, a tornado's path or trajectory is predictable. It's the other 20% of cases that there can be an aberration in the tornadic path, and that's the unfortunate tragedy with El Reno.
The El Reno tornado is so unpredictable, it catches even the most experienced storm chasers in a deadly line of fire.
I think it's safe to say I'm addicted to weather, 24/7. In my job, in my personal life, I'm always glued to radar, satellite, models. I've been out there, I've seen what the power of tornadoes can do.
There is a large tornado right behind us here. If you can see where that little white is, that is likely the edge of the tornado.
This day changed everything that I thought I knew about tornadoes. This day will be one that I will never forget.
Left, go left!
The day the El Reno tornado struck, Jacqueline and her colleagues were on a 3-week assignment chasing storms in the American Midwest's notorious Tornado Alley.
May 31st, 2013 happened to be our final chase day on our trip. Our main objective out there is to photograph and video the storm. We send that footage back to the Weather Network all the time because it helps us show our viewers what it's like to actually see that in the field. When it comes to looking at forecast data, we are literally glued to our phones, our laptops, all the time. Weather is always changing. It's a chaotic kind of science. So what happens now affects what happens 10 minutes from now. The forecast brought us to El Reno, Oklahoma.
On this particular day in El Reno, the calm before the storm did not last long.
Every type of ingredient for storm development was not only present, it was off the charts. Winds at the surface are coming from this direction, winds a little bit higher are coming from this direction, and then winds really high in the atmosphere are the other way. Well, that induces spin. The National Weather Service put out a particular dangerous situation watch.
Residents should prepare their storm shelters for a worst-case scenario.
When you hear that, you know that they mean business. It was scary. A lot of my fellow chasers were literally fearful of chasing that day. We all had this yucky feeling in our stomach that this would not end well.
At 5:35 p.m., sirens wail in the town of El Reno. An official tornado warning is in effect.
A tornado warning gives some key information to people. It tells you where the storm is, its motion, and ideally will tell you the towns and even timing of when the tornado is expected to hit.
The average amount of time between a tornado warning and the arrival of a storm is just 13 minutes. Despite their gut feeling, the chasers head out to film the storm.
When the driving starts, then it becomes about staying in touch with your friends that are also chasing the same storm cells.
George, you copy? How you doing back there?
I'm grabbing the radio. Hey, do you have a visual on this? It's rain wrapped, we can't see anything. So it's helpful to have other eyes on the ground. I'm looking to the west and I see what looks like almost a spaceship. It's got this beautiful formation to it, and I'm just thinking it's rain.
Then Jacqueline gets an update from one of her storm-chasing colleagues.
I remember George Karunis radioing us and saying, guys, tornado, I see a tornado.
It's rain wrapped!
Suddenly, Jacqueline draws a chilling conclusion.
Oh my God, that's not rain. That is the tornado. That is a massive wedge tornado moving toward our direction.
They quickly jump out to film the epic tornado. It's already 2 miles at its base, 10 times the width of an average tornado.
A tornado can become so wide simply because it's the energy and fuel associated with these storms. The fuel was off the charts with the El Reno tornado. It was able to tap the intense moisture and heat and fuel required to generate this massive tornado within this parent thunderstorm. So you have these sucking winds coming in from miles around and feeding this thing, and it just widens with time and becomes the most fearsome looking thing.
A wedge is as wide as it is tall. And those are kind of the tornadoes that you hope to get because they're just massive and they're beautiful to photograph. This wasn't beautiful. This was terrifying. This was a wedge that went down in history as the biggest ever. And there is nothing beautiful, there is nothing fascinating about it anymore. It's really run for your life.
They expect the storm to move northeast, the typical direction for tornadoes. But the massive wedge lunges south, catching the chasers off guard.
The nature of the winds at low levels that feed a tornado, they're undulating and changing, and it just changes the path, potentially in a significant way that can impact you.
It's getting really, really big out here. All storm chasers, you copy?
Jacqueline puts a warning call out to her colleagues.
This is Jacqueline. Look, you have to get out of here now. I repeat, get out now. Do you copy?
Nothing.
Radio silence. The leading edge of the tornado closes in on them.
I've never seen anything that big. And I have this horrible feeling that I'm not gonna get out. I'm not gonna make it out of here.
A 2-mile wide tornado barrels down on meteorologist Jacqueline Whittle and her storm tracking team. The tornado was hidden from view behind a rain curtain and catches the storm chasers by surprise.
We didn't know at first what we were looking at. It looked like a big wall of rain. So there was no reason to panic until there was.
It's a rain-wrapped tornado!
We hit the gas pedal.
Come on, go, 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 go!
Everybody just realized, holy that's the tornado. That is the actual tornado. We gotta go.
Come on, let's get out of here.
And everybody tried to beeline down Highway 81 at the same time.
Let's go!
Come on!
The tornado continues to grow. It's now 2.5 miles wide, wider than Manhattan, and speeding along at 40 miles an hour. It closes in on them.
Boom!
But there's nowhere to go.
So now we have hundreds of locals actually trying to get out of the way, and you've got hundreds of chasers. You can't go anywhere. It's a traffic jam. It's the worst case scenario that you could ever imagine when trying to flee a tornado. Oh. The tornado was coming closer, and I can remember it sucking in the air around us. Literally, debris is blowing as the tornado's sucking it up. And that's a bad sign. We're now dead stop. Nobody's going anywhere. It actually just sat like that for several minutes, which seemed like forever to me, because I'm just looking back. We gotta go. There's nowhere to go. And I can see this dark cloud getting closer and closer. I'm thinking at this point, that's it. We're done. We're going to die.
The tornado continues to grow in size and ferocity with the winds upward of 250 miles per hour.
With 250 mile per hour winds, you can level a house. You can lift cars. Railway cars can be blown over, and it's just a whole level of severity that's almost unheard of on Earth.
The tornado continues to drop south directly behind the storm chasers. They're too close.
We got to get off this road. And we're not moving very fast.
Jacqueline has a life and death decision to make. Continue south and try to outrun the tornado, or try to escape in another direction.
If we turn too quickly, we might still be in the path of the tornado. I want to get off this highway because I'm terrified that this storm is going to cross the highway.
They come to a crossroads. Left or right. They have seconds to decide. The pathway of the tornado is anyone's guess.
So we finally get to that crucial left-hand turn.
Jacqueline, where are we going?
Left, go left!
And we actually head east.
It's the right decision.
We know now that we're out of the path of the tornado. We see it now north of us. I remember just feeling a sigh of relief that we made it. But I also knew that probably some didn't. And that was an awful feeling.
At a roadside diner, news of the tornado trickles in.
We have breaking news out of Reno, Oklahoma tonight. Residents there are reeling after a devastating tornado ripped through the town.
Several vehicles have been caught in the storm's erratic trajectory. But not everyone made it out of the Reno tornado alive.
Everybody at one point had to make a choice whether they're going to stay, go north, go south, or turn off on one of these small country roads. And a few of our colleagues turned a little too early. And unfortunately, the outer bands of the tornado killed 3 chasers that day.
The tornado killed 8 people, including 4 storm chasers.
And these were amazing scientists.
Another 151 people suffered injuries.
They were there studying, and they had done it for years, and that storm was different. That storm acted in a way that no other tornado acted historically. It sped up, it got bigger, it crossed the highway, it changed directions. It did everything that a tornado normally wouldn't do. And that could have been us.
The scientists killed at Reno were collecting data to better understand tornadoes and ultimately save lives, even though it meant putting themselves at risk. The El Reno tornado claimed 8 lives and injured more than 150 people. 2.6 miles across, it was the widest tornado in recorded history. Unique in its size, ferocity, and trajectory.
We were just at the right place at the right time. But if we were literally half a mile north on that road, I wouldn't be talking right now.
At what point does a tornado become dangerous? We have dangerous tornadoes that generally have winds of, say, 200 kilometers per hour. There was a professor from Chicago, Dr. Fujita, that came up with the Fujita scale many, many moons ago. And it's correlated what we know engineering-wise about how structures are built in relation to wind strength. And it does a rough correlation between wind intensity and damage. If you have a strong and violent tornado, you're basically correlating the strongest wind speeds with the most violent damage with homes or structures. There's been a lot of research on this as well. There's the Three Little Pigs project out of the University of Western Ontario. And Dr. Greg Kopp and so on and his affiliates have a giant wind tunnel there that propel wind against objects. And they will impale 2x4s or struts or whatever, trusses through brick walls and so on, and it really helps us with the science of building safety up and against tornadoes. The funny thing about the Fujita scale, or enhanced Fujita scale, is the tornado really has to have targets to hit in order to classify it. You really could have the most intense tornado in the history of mankind out in the middle of a field, churning away, and it's not doing anything except a little bit of damage to the corn stalks. But we can't rate it as an EF5 because there's no other damage indicated.